My name is Serena, and according to my ex-boss, I'm the kind of woman who sleeps her way to the top. That's what he told HR. That's what he hinted to my coworkers. That's the rumor he tried to attach to my name when I finally said no to him. For a while, it worked. People looked at me differently. Some women stopped talking when I walked into the break room. Men made little jokes they thought I didn't hear. But then one email thread, one I almost deleted, turned his whole story against him. This is how my boss tried to ruin my career and my marriage at the same time, and how his own words ended up saving me. I work in marketing. I'm good at my job. Not perfect, not a genius, just consistent. I hit my deadlines, I take feedback, I help new hires, and I don't flirt for opportunities. I didn't think that last part needed to be said out loud until I met Ethan. Ethan was the new director. Tall, expensive suit, always with a fresh haircut and a confidence that filled the whole floor. When he shook my hand on his first day, he smiled a little too long. He said, "Serena, right? I've heard your name already. You're the one who gets things done around here." I smiled back, professional. "That's what they say," I replied. At first, I liked him as a boss. He answered emails quickly, protected our team from unrealistic deadlines, and even fought for raises. People admired him. I did too, at least in the beginning. The first red flag was small. He started calling me Star. In meetings, if I made a good point, he'd say, "See? That's my star speaking." The team would laugh, and I'd feel my cheeks warm. I didn't like it, but it sounded harmless. I told myself it was just his style. Then the late night messages began. At 11:30 p.m., "You still awake, Star? Just finished reading your proposal." Impressive. On a Sunday morning, crazy idea. But I wish I had someone like you on my last team. Things would have been more fun, I replied politely, kept it work-focused. "Thank you, Ethan. Let me know if you have any feedback on the proposal. I didn't ask for this. I didn't encourage it." But he kept pushing the line. One evening, after a long day of presentations, the whole team went out for drinks to celebrate. I don't really like office parties, but it felt rude not to go. So I showed up, stayed near the end of the table, laughed when appropriate, and kept my glass mostly full but barely touched. Around 10 p.m., people started leaving. Suddenly, it was just me, Ethan, and one other coworker. The coworker got a call from his wife, mouthed sorry to us, and left in a hurry. That's when Ethan did it. He slid closer to me in the booth and said, "So, Serena, I've heard you're married. Lucky man." I forced a smile and showed my ring. "Yeah, he's great." Ethan nodded slowly. "Is he as supportive as I am?" "Because I see your potential. I could make sure you're promoted to senior this year, easily." I laughed nervously. "I appreciate the support. I really want that promotion, but I'm prepared to work for it." He tilted his head. "There are many ways to work for things." My stomach dropped. The air in the restaurant suddenly felt heavy. I looked toward the bar, hoping a waiter would come by so I could pay and leave. No one came. I said, very clearly, "Ethan, I really want to keep things professional. You're my boss." He smiled, unbothered. "Of course. We're just talking." No harm in appreciating talented women. I respect boundaries. He respected nothing. I realized that later. After that night, I started avoiding one-on-one time with him. I asked to have meetings with the door open. If he messaged me late at night, I replied the next morning, kept it short, kept it about tasks. I didn't tell my husband, Marcus, at first. Not because I wanted to hide anything, but because I didn't want to worry him. Marcus had just started his own small business and was already stressed. I thought, I can handle this. It's annoying, but I can handle it. Then came my performance review. I walked into his office with my notebook, numbers, campaign results, ready to talk about my work. He had dimmed the lights. A candle-scented diffuser was on the shelf. "Romantic for a performance review," I joked, trying to lighten the mood. He smiled. "You look great today, Serena. That color suits you." I sat down and opened my notebook. "So, about the Q2 campaigns." He waved his hand. "We'll get to that. First, I want to talk about your future." He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "You're one of the best on this team. I can see you as a manager soon, maybe even a director one day. But you and I both know that sometimes moving up isn't just about numbers. It's about trust, about chemistry." I felt a cold wave go through my body. I said, Slowly, I hope my work speaks for itself. I don't want to confuse anything. He reached for a folder on his desk and tapped it. This folder, he said, is my recommendation to HR for your promotion to senior specialist. It's strong, very strong. It would be a shame if our dynamic got in the way of that. I stared at the folder, then at him. Ethan, I said carefully, if you're suggesting anything that isn't strictly professional, I'm not interested. At all. He sat back, his expression tightening for just a second before the smile came back. Relax, Serena. You're so intense. I'm teasing. We both know you'd never cross the line. You're too good. He signed a paper dramatically and slid the folder toward me. Congratulations, he said. You earned it. I walked out with the folder, my heart racing. Was I promoted because of my work or because he thought this was some kind of game? That night, I told Marcus everything. We were sitting at the kitchen table after our son went to bed. I didn't want secrets between us. I explained the late messages, the star nickname, the bar conversation, the performance review. Marcus listened quietly, jaw clenched. Finally, he said, I don't like this man. At all. You know that's sexual harassment, right? I nodded. I know. But if I file a complaint now, he'll say I only felt uncomfortable after I got the promotion. It will look like I used him and then turned on him. Marcus shook his head. People like him count on that, on your fear, on your silence. We went to bed, but I didn't sleep much. I felt trapped between protecting my job and protecting my dignity. Over the next months, Ethan kept walking the line. He'd send an email at 11 p.m. Still thinking about that presentation. You were on fire today. He'd stand too close behind me while I worked, looking at my screen over my shoulder. If I took a sick day, he'd text. Office is missing its star. Not the same without you. I started screenshotting things. Not obsessively, just enough. I created a folder in my personal email called Work, just in case. Every time a message felt off, I forwarded it there from my work account. I didn't know if I'd ever use them, but something in me wanted a record. Then one day, everything exploded. A new position opened, team lead. It was a step above my role, supervising a small group. Ethan called me into his office. He said, I'm putting your name in for team lead. You're perfect for it. I was surprised and happy. Thank you. I won't disappoint you. He smiled in a way I instantly hated. I'm sure you won't. I'll send you something later with the expectations. That night at 10:47 p.m., I got an email from him. Subject, team lead expectations, strictly confidential. In the email, he listed normal things at first: mentoring responsibilities, project ownership, cross-department communication. Then the last bullet point, 5, maintaining a special level of trust with direct leadership. This includes loyalty, discretion, and instead I have accounted a more laxed boundary between work and personal connection. I think you know well a day. If that makes you uncomfortable, I might have misjudged your readiness for this level. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. There it was, in writing. No more jokes, no more ambiguity. If I didn't accept blurred boundaries, he'd reconsider the promotion. Marcus was sitting on the couch when I walked over to him, laptop in hand. Read this, I said. He read the email, then looked up at me furious. He said, you are going to HR, tomorrow. This isn't a suggestion. I took a deep breath. I'm scared. I know, he said. But you have proof now. Real proof. And you're not going alone. I'll drive you. I'll wait in the car if I have to. But you're not doing this by yourself. The next morning, I forwarded the email to my personal account, printed it, and then requested a meeting with HR. When I sat down with the HR manager, a woman named Priya, I felt my throat closing. She smiled and said, So, Serena, how can I help you? I took out the printed email and placed it on the table. This is from Ethan, I said. He's been blurring boundaries for months. Late night messages, comments, and now this. I want to file a formal complaint for harassment. Priya read the paper silently. Her face didn't change much, but her eyes sharpened. How long has this been happening? She asked. I told her everything. The bar, the performance review, the star nickname, the suggestion that my promotion depended on chemistry. I also told her I had saved other emails and messages. She asked me to send them to a secure HR inbox, which I did right there from my laptop. Then she said something I didn't expect. You're not the first woman to feel uncomfortable around him, but you are the first with this level of concrete proof. My heart pounded. There were others, she nodded slightly. Nothing we could move on officially, too vague, too easy to explain away. But this email, she tapped the paper. This is different. I left the office feeling both lighter and terrified. Ethan must have been called in later that day, because by late afternoon, the entire floor felt tense. People whispered. Doors stayed closed longer than usual. At 4:15 p.m., I got a meeting invite from HR. Follow up on work environment. Tomorrow 9 a.m. When I got home, Marcus asked, "How did it go?" I answered, "They're taking it seriously, but I don't know what's going to happen." He hugged me tightly. "Whatever happens, you did the right thing." The next morning, I walked into the HR office expecting to meet just Priya. Ethan was there. He sat on one side of the table, arms crossed, looking offended. Priya sat in the middle. There was another HR rep taking notes. Priya said, "Thank you both for coming. Serena, as discussed, you've raised concerns about inappropriate communication. Ethan, you've seen the email." He spoke before she could continue. "This is a ridiculous misunderstanding," he said. "Serena and I have a playful dynamic. She flirted with me many times. I thought this was a safe joke between two adults. If I knew she was so sensitive, I never would have written it." I almost laughed. "Playful dynamic? Flirted with him?" I said carefully. "I have never flirted with you. Not once. I've been uncomfortable for months." He smirked. "Come on, Serena. The late night chats, the way you dress when you know we have one-on-one meetings." Priya raised her hand. "Ethan, let's focus on facts, not interpretations. The email you sent is explicit. Do you deny sending it?" He shifted in his chair. "I admit it was poorly worded, but it was clearly a joke. I never said she had to do anything. There's no condition there." That's when Priya pulled out a folder of her own. She said, "We reviewed not just that email, but the full thread in your other communications. There's a pattern." She read aloud some of his messages. "Office is not the same without its star. Wish we could have more off-record conversations. Feels good to have at least one woman here who gets me. You're perfect for this role. I just need to know your mind on this." One by one, each line felt like a tiny nail being hammered into his story. His face reddened. "I was being encouraging," he protested. "You're twisting it." Priya turned to me. "Serena, did you ever encourage this tone? Make invitations? Suggest anything romantic?" "No," I said. "I kept it about work. I even told him explicitly that I wanted things to stay professional." She nodded. "That matches the emails." Then she turned to Ethan. "Unfortunately, this isn't just about tone. This is about using your position of power to imply that promotions depend on personal access. That's unacceptable here." He glared at me like I had betrayed him. "You know this will damage my career," he said. I met his eyes and replied, "You tried to damage mine first, and my marriage." There was a short silence. Priya cleared her throat. "Ethan, you're being put on immediate leave while we complete this investigation. You're not to contact Serena directly at work or outside of it. All communication will go through HR." He stood up, furious. "This company has become a joke," he muttered, and stormed out. The room felt strangely quiet after he left. Priya looked at me and said softly, "You did something very difficult. I know this wasn't easy. We'll keep you updated." The weeks that followed were exhausting. Rumors flew. Ethan got suspended because Serena couldn't take a joke. She wanted his position. They were having an affair, and it went wrong. I walked through the office feeling every pair of eyes on me, some with pity, some with judgment. I questioned myself so many times. But every time doubt crept in, Marcus would remind me, "You didn't create this situation. You just refused to stay silent in it." One afternoon, Priya called me back into her office. She said, "We've concluded the investigation. Several other women came forward after you. Your email gave them the courage to speak. Their stories, plus your documented evidence, led to a decision." My heart raced. "And Ethan's contract has been terminated," she said. "He signed a separation agreement and is not allowed to contact you. We're also updating our harassment training and reporting process based on this case. I exhaled slowly. Is my position safe? She nodded. Yes. And more than that, the team lead role is still open. You're still eligible to apply, and now your work will be the only factor. I walked out of that office feeling taller, not because I'd won, but because I had survived. That night, I was in the kitchen when Marcus came home. He hugged me from behind and asked, "How did it go?" I said, "He's gone. Fired." HR said other women came forward because of the email. It wasn't just me. Marcus closed his eyes and whispered, "Good. I'm proud of you." I turned around and looked at him seriously. "I need you to know something," I said. "If that email hadn't existed, if I hadn't saved those messages, people might have believed him. They might have thought I seduced him for a promotion." He nodded slowly. "I know. That's the terrifying part." We stood there in silence for a moment. Then he said, "From now on, if something feels wrong at work, even a little, you tell me. We document. We protect you." I smiled sadly. My grandmother used to tell me, "Don't make waves. Keep your head down." But if I'd kept my head down this time, I'd be drowning. A few months later, I did apply for the team lead position. I brought my results, my ideas, my vision for the team. In the interview, the new director, a woman brought in from outside, said, "I've heard you handled a very difficult situation with a lot of integrity." That kind of courage is exactly what I want in a leader. I got the job. Not because I charmed someone, not because I played along with the boss's ego, but because I refused to stay silent when the story about me was being written by someone who wanted to own me. If you're dealing with something like this, the comments, the jokes, the offers that aren't really offers, remember, you're not overreacting. You're not too sensitive. You're not responsible for someone else's lack of boundaries. And if they ever try to flip the story and say you seduced them, don't underestimate the power of receipts. Sometimes the most powerful sentence in the world is simple. Let's check the emails.